Hi, this is the Tech Modeler channel with Paul Inge regarding my next build. As you know, I'm actually working on the Storm Tiger in 1/48 scale from Tamiya. This is the Dragon JAGDPANTHER, and this was originally meant to be a buddy build with Steve Mottram, but my switcher build with the Corvette came up pretty quickly, and it was a long haul on that still, and we've got a bit more to do on that as well, so I'll be going back to that after this build. So I'm going to finish the Storm Tiger first, and then I'm going to be starting this vehicle straight away as soon as I've finished the build of that, so I can do a lot of spraying all at one go. That's what I'm hoping to do. So anyway, this was the original kit that I was going to be building with Steve Mottram. He has actually built this kit. I think it's the beginning of the year he actually did it, and a fantastic job he did of that. So you go along to his channel and have a look at his completed build, or if you want to watch his updates up to that the final reveal that he did. As I said, this was the same model as him, so don't expect to see too much difference. But anyway, so this kit number is same as his, obviously 6494. It's 135th. It's a Dragon with a JAGDPANTHER with ZIMMERIT. It's got the Ostov G1 chassis, which is that they did do a G2 as well, and I think you'll find some of the Panther it's to do with the Panther chassis, the actual chassis. But still an interesting vehicle. It's one of my favourite looking vehicles. I think there's one at Bovington. I've had many a photograph taken in front of that, and I've actually seen one running at Paddock Wood armour display, or War and Peace as it was called. I think it's still called that now. War and Peace, running around the arena at Paddock Wood. Wonderful, it just looks the part. It's really a lovely vehicle, pretty fast and nimble on its feet, and very successfully used in service by the German crews. It was very well liked by its crews, which is another bonus for it. Also, it was a lethal weapon when handled correctly as well. So let's get on to the model itself. Going to be building this one shortly. I think I'll be starting sometime over the weekend, or even earlier. But so we'll see. All I'm really doing with this is a pre-box in-box review, but a pre-build review. I like to prefer it called. So all I'm going to do is look at the parts through the plastic, because I haven't actually undone them all yet, just to show you. So here we go. Take the old box off. Oops. Always great fun with this. There you go. Put that in there clearly, and as you can see straight away, there's quite a bit in the box. And this is the instructions. The instructions, what am I saying? They're the instructions. This is the tracks that come in, the SDS tracks. These are really nice actually, and these are, because they're nice and flat. Sometimes you buy these and they've been deformed in some way. This hasn't. I've got a feeling I'll be using through model tracks for this. I think I've got a set for it. So, and if I have, I'll be using those. But if I can't find it, I know I've got a late set, and I'm not sure, but I think the JAGDPANTHERs actually had the late set of tracks. I can check on that by looking at the tracks and also looking in the publications I've got as well. But anyway, so they're the tracks that could be used, and they are gluable, as you know, and very flexible from Dragon. So here's the instructions. Now I'm not going to, normally I would show the instructions, I will do this way. I'm not going to go too through the instructions, just a brief run through. And as you can see, there's a lot of blue on the sprue. I thought that sounded good, a lot of blue on the sprue. Anyway, so there's a lot of blue, which means they're the parts that won't be used, because this is the basic kit is taken from the original Panther kit and upgraded to a JAGDPANTHER. So there's a lot of parts in this for sprues that actually work with the Panther kit, so therefore obviously they would be used for this kit and some wouldn't. So definitely a lot of blue in there, which is quite a nice feeling, because it means that there's a lot of bits and parts in here going in a spares box and won't be used. So I'm just going to have a quick flick through for the instructions. Now I'm hoping to improve my camera angle later on by raising it quite a bit more to show more on my desk. All I've got to do is make a modification for the actual the camera and the microphone that I've got actually. We had the Rode microphone. So anyway, just looking at this, if I go to this, I'm going to open it up a little bit. As you can see, there's a front sheet basically showing all the bits and pieces, and you've got that. Also the back sheet has got the vehicles you can actually produce, and they're mostly from the Panzer Jag unit 654 in France. Every single vehicle that's listed here is up from France, the France arena, as I like to call it, area. So there you go. Over this side, usual thing with all Dragon and most model kit companies, they come out with the bits of little symbols to say glue, to cut off, remove, drill a hole, don't glue, that type of thing. Optional parts with the 2 arrows. drill a hole. There's a lot of things, and let it dry. There's a timing bit there to just remind you to wait for a while. Then we've got your call outs for your colours. Now I'll be using life colours for my vehicle, so therefore I'll be using similar colours obviously, but all purely life colour vehicles, and I'll show them colours when I actually start to do the painting of the vehicle. Sections 1, 2 and 3 cover purely the actual building up of the chassis. I think that's going to be the batch of what I'll call the most tedious, and I like to sort of tedious. I hate the word boring because a lot of people say boring, and I always think there's many things in this world that I could really call boring, but even sanding the wheels off, which is a pain with the rim, I still find that tedious rather than boring, because as I said, there's a lot of people in this world that can actually sit somewhere and they can be bored because they've got a reason for it. But I think as modelers, it's tedious rather than boring. Right, there we go then. So that's just my idea anyway. Goes on, so number 3 up there is still carrying on with the wheels and building the lower hull. Then you move on to the back engine plate, which is on the back, and with putting the exhaust. This has got the early exhaust shrouds, armour plates for the actual exhaust pipes. They're sort of curved. You'll find that with the latest Panthers and JAGDPANTHERs, they was actually squared off. But this is going to be the round ones with the original three pipes. I think one of the pipes is for a generator of some sort, but anyway, I can't remember exactly, but I will have a look for that later at some point. And then you're putting the storage boxes on the back. Each one is made out of 2 parts, a back plate and the actual box itself. Straightforward. Another bit to do with that, so it's really straightforward. So you're actually still on the lower hull up to number 5. There you go. Turn it over. And we get to number 6. When we're number 6, as you can see, we start on the upper fighting compartment or the upper hull. Machine gun's made up of quite a few pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces there, and six pieces. And you don't see it once it's built because it's inside. But I will actually paint it up a little bit and make it look real nice. But I know you won't see it because it'll be hidden away inside. If we could actually have a full interior in this vehicle, then it would be nice, because obviously it'd be really well detailed. And because the roof and plate does lift off, you could leave so it lifts off. But it hasn't got no interior, so we won't worry about that. So 6, 7, 8 are all to do with the fighting compartment and the roof, and number 10 as well, as you can see, putting on the actual armoured plates for over the engineering, the air intake grills. You get photo etching in this kit, so it's quite nice. So that's for there. So how many real places you've got, most of the photo etch goes on is purely for the actual grills, as we'll look when we get to that little Dragon Magic car as I used to go on. So number 11 is still carrying on there. Number 11 onwards is basically fitting tools and attachments all the way around. And the same there. And when you get to 13, you're talking about putting the loader's hatch in, which is the hatch that used to drop down, and they load the 88 shells through the back to actually fill the racks inside the vehicle. And then you've got the commander's hatches and bits, and then the top roof plate, which I said you could leave removable. Pointless really when it's actually got nothing inside, but it's really handy to have it loose, leaving it detached while you're painting, because then afterwards you can attach all these actual what do you call them? It's funny when you get mental blocks, and also next thing periscopes. All the periscopes are going on the top hatch plates as well as monoculars for the actual the gunner as well. So there you go. So it's all there. So that's this is now getting onto the top roof, and it's still talking about the fighting compartment, and that's up to 14. A bit more in depth view. I don't know if I can get this to come up a bit. A bit more in depth view here of the driver's, the gunner's viewing points with a normal periscope plus his monoculars for targeting, or long distance targeting. Then you've got over the other side you've got the barrel pump put together, and it's actually got quite a lot of parts on the barrel to put it together, but it's understandable, and it will give that extra definition when you're actually building it. But how many pits? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and obviously the actual block the gun goes in. So really there's about 8 pieces there, but this and it is slide molded, the barrel, so it's not going to be overly hard on the cleanup, which is nice. You can actually get a metal barrel of this, but to be honest, if that barrel is that nice, I'm going to stick with it and stay with it because I think it looks nice. Also, you get the gun. Now we're getting to the inside part with the main gun, but the actual breech block and system inside, and all the absorbers of the gun when it backfires, when it actually fires, and the recoil goes back and forward, and there's the cylinders that cover the recoil. They're built up and put inside. And then you end up with the last bit to do is number 17. So there's only 17 parts to this, and it goes to actually putting the actual cable on. I know the cable is not made of copper wire, so I'll be replacing it, but they do give you a nice metal wire on it, tow cable or wire, but it's not really that good for this particular kit. It's much easier with copper wires, as you know, it's more easy to bend. And then the other side obviously is what we explained earlier on with the colour schemes, purely for any vehicle. They're all vehicles in France from 654 Panzer Jag battalion, basically. There you go. So that's the instructions. Here's the Dragon card, as I mentioned earlier, and you can see it there quite nicely. If I pull that up, you can see the photo etch is not bad at all. It always looks worse on there, but it does look quite nice. And then you've got your periscopes. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. Even got the little light on the back of the vehicle, the rear light, so that'd be red, painted in clear red, and the actual one of the periscopes and all. So a lot of stuff there. And there's the actual towing cable, which is basically not very bendable. I don't like it, so I will be replacing a copper. And then you've got that gun there, bits and pieces of the gun to be built up for inside the front of the inside the fighting compartment. Again, you won't see much of it, but I will paint it up nice. And there's the decals, obviously, for the actual vehicle vehicles. You've got, as I said, you've got 5 choices. I think it's 5 choices. Or is it that? Sorry, go back to that quickly. Always the same. You've got 6 choices, so that makes it right. There you go. I most probably go for the 314. There you go. That's the one I might go for myself. But I'll decide about on the nearer the time. So there you go. Right, put that aside. Here we go. It's all in its poly bags. You can see I haven't undone them, and that's going to stay. There's the slide mouldy barrel. And what I can see there is it's perfect. It doesn't look bad at all. All you've got to do is clean up the air. A nice soft sanding stick, lightly rubbed over it, not putting too much pressure on it. You'll keep the curvature of the barrel and it'll be nice. So there you go. And here we go with bits and pieces here. As I said, some of these pieces won't be used. So I could be pointing at something, and when you get to the kit instructions, there's another copy of it somewhere else with either ZIMMERIT on it, and it needs to be used instead. There you go. So that's it. Again, top compartment, as you can see, really details nice. Nothing too much on the inside, a little bit of detail, but there's basically everything looks nice. Perfect. And there's the inner plate of the loader's hatch. Inner plate of it. There's going to be quite a nice bit of detail on the loader's hatch, so you could have it open as long as it's you know, not too dark inside. You could get around it, have it open, and have a bit of cloth hanging over the side of the vehicle, laying down, blocking most of your view into the vehicle, but you could see the hatch was open. There's another thing you could do. Well, here we go, carrying on. You've got the actual drive sprocket axles. This is the transmission area that comes out from the transmission and goes through and drives the actual drive sprockets. Really good. There's the drive sprockets. There's some of the stuff you're not going to use. These are the later exhausts with the curves. You know, there's only 2 exhausts on the later Panthers and JAGDPANTHERs, but this version is not going to have them. So it's part of the stuff that's not there. Plenty of bits for the actual copper wires. The good thing is they're hollow, so you can actually get some copper wire and push it in, and you've got your perfect tow cable. So it's really nice touch that is. Moving on. Getting to some of the ZIMMERIT stuff on the back plate. You can see the ZIMMERIT on there. You might be able to see it. I'm trying to see it on the camera. Yeah, you can see it, but there it is. Very nice, very faint. It's to me it looks perfectly in scale for this size vehicle. It looks nice, and it is the little squares, obviously. So some of the vehicles were really well done, and then you get to later ones where they was actually, when they put ZIMMERIT, they're slapping it on. But this ZIMMERIT looks quite nice. I'm very happy with that. My vehicle's not going to be too damaged anyway, but it can have a bit of weathering on it. Weathering on it, because these vehicles come out at the end of towards the end, 1944, so they wouldn't have been too battered around anyway at that stage. Even got ZIMMERIT on the actual mud guards on the front, I like to call them, or the mud flaps on the front of the vehicle that go here. Basically looking nice. ZIMMERIT's really nice on that, so it's looking really good. Even got ZIMMERIT on the actual stowage boxes on the back and on the lid. None underneath, which is a bit surprising because I thought there might be, but then again, when you get the angle, trying to put it underneath, I don't think so. So that's most probably why they didn't do it. But there you go. Looks very nice. Bits more, still more bits and pieces. Again, this is the one for the, is that the one? There's going to be one with ZIMMERIT on. Oh, and there it is. That's one there. So you've got 2 or 3 choices for the actual machine gun housing, but one of them's got ZIMMERIT on, so it's pretty obvious which one we're going to be using for that. So as I said, there's quite a few things that are doubled up from different Panther versions. So there you go. You've even got this bit here and this bit here. One of them is actually used to block your axis off to the wheels, so you can't see the actual wheels through. They're looking for any of the edges. Obviously I'm going to close mine down so they most probably won't see them, but there you go. It's looking very good. The detail so far, I haven't seen too much flash. Nice little handles there, and there's a good chance I might replace those with fine brass rod, because it is a bit stronger, and you add a bit of super glue and it really makes them strong. But if they come off nicely and they're not going to be banged around too much, it's okay. The next thing we're just going to have a look at now is the road wheels. Now there's not much to say about this really. The road wheels are very nicely moulded, very clear, and obviously you've got the suspension rods, and you can see where you've got little flat bits where you actually attach them inside the vehicle. I don't know where it's going to come. You attach them inside the vehicle. It allows the rest of the arm to actually pivot and move, but it gives them a force. So I'm going to glue that. Now I'm not worried if they don't move anyway, because mine's going to be sitting in the cabinet on flat land. But if I want them to move, I can actually do that with through model tracks being metal. You can actually make the chassis look as if it's actually got some weight on it. But that's what you could do. But anyway, there you go. That's all the wheels. They look nice. 2 sets of that. The most tedious job to do is the wheels, but I quite like them. Have they got anything mould? Yeah, they've got a mould seam around it. Very light. A nice soft sandy stick, and you can get it done quite quickly. I know some people that put these onto a little sort of drill like this, similar to this, and basically spin it around and do it that way. To be honest, by the time you mucked about with that and putting them on and off the actual drill, I find it just easy to just spin around on the sanding stick. And if you've got the 2 wheels together that go together in itself, you can actually get round and glue them both together and then do both together. I'm going to see that when I actually get it sorted. Right, the last bit then is to look at now is the actual hole. There you go, there she is, and I think you can see yeah, you can just about make out the actual ZIMMERIT there. Very nicely done. All the places where it would be left clear is there for placing the tools on either side. Engine deck looks really neat. There's no flash at all there. You can see where you can actually have the plate lifted off when you've got the back one in. And as I said, the shape of a JAGDPANTHER I think is one of the best looking assault guns or anti-tank guns during World War II for any nation. I still think it just looks the part, and it's very sleek, and it looks like a thoroughbred, and technically during World War II it was a thoroughbred. Right, move that around a bit, put it back the other way, excuse me, let's start putting it back. Now one thing I know about is the JAGDPANTHER. I've got a book from Osprey, and some of the older people might remember an MP called Willie Whitelaw, and I didn't know that he did anything during World War II until I read the book. And what it was, he was actually in command of a unit of, I think it was Churchill tanks, and every one of his vehicles was destroyed or lost in an operation against 3 JAGDPANTHERs. They just ambushed his unit and virtually wiped them out in a few short hours. And it's surprising. So that gives you an idea that the destructive force of one of these vehicles, or even 2 of them, if they pre-planned their ambushing places, because these were ambush guns as well, ambush anyone as long as it got pre-planning, and they pre-planned the hill. And they made sure I think they lost 2 vehicles or 1 vehicle to damage, so they had to leave it. So they blew it up, obviously, and left it behind. But the others got away, and it was a very interesting read. I did read it a long time ago. I might have to refresh myself whilst building this, so I've got a good bit, so I can talk about it a little bit more in depth next time. But it was a really interesting movie, and the fact that Willie Whitelaw was involved in that, and obviously in command of a few tanks. So it just goes to show, when you see MPs, some of the older ones from the early days, that some of those were actually in the forces during World War II and took part in it. We all know about Churchill in the First World War and bits and pieces. So there you go. So there you go. Anyway, so I'm going to stop waffling because I'm getting to the waffling stage. But this is going to be in my next build. I've got another little book here that I've got. So I've had a few of this. I bought this in the 80s. Must be 1978 or 79. And I've had it for years. You can see the colours a bit dark around the edges because obviously it sits there, it gets dark. But it's got some lovely photographs of Panthers in it, and bits going all through the marks. But also, it's got the marks of Panthers that actually conversions, like the bilge Panther, and there's one there. And you've also got obviously bits and pieces of close-ups of all the wenches and the work area. And there you go. And also then it gets to a little bit small section on the Panther. Really nice photographs. You can see the later the actual gun mantlet here is for the later version of the JAGDPANTHER, and you can see the 4 bolts and some bolts at the top. The other one was actually, as you can see over here, which is the one we're building, is the early one. You can see how fine the actual ZIMMERIT looks on that photograph. So, and up the top as well, well, no, that one's a flat one. That one's got no ZIMMERIT on at all. I think that's been modified. But you can see even these photographs have got ZIMMERIT on. That one looks a bit more advantageous because you've got a nice angle. But when you look at the vehicles, I mean, this is the same vehicle, but the angle, you can see it looks very fine. And remember, when you shrink the vehicle down from 1:1 right down to 1/35 scale, the actual ZIMMERIT will look finer on some of the vehicles. So I'm really happy with what the kit's done with the ZIMMERIT. Doing that would have been a pain, getting all those lovely squares. But there you go. So if I go, I think I've got another couple bits and pieces. There you go. Again, looks a bit nice, fine here. It just shows you the difference between different vehicles. This is an early one, nice, fine, and when you go up to that one, it's another early vehicle, and it seems a bit rougher. So I think it all depends on the actual person that was actually putting it on there. And this one here actually looks like it's it's got the side skirts on as well. It looks completely uncamouflaged. Obviously, the sun coming through the trees gives a bit of a deflection, but for reflection of different things, but it looks as if it's not been camouflaged and it's just purely sand. And just a little talk about exhaust. There you go, JAGDPANTHER exhaust. Obviously that's the one we'll be doing over there. This is a late one talked about with the actual plating around it. This was to actually deflect the exhaust into the direction it wanted to go. It's sort of diffused it a little bit through the little filters that got there, the actual mesh on the exhaust bit. But there you go. So there you go, lovely. Thank you very much. And there's another one of the later version of the JAGDPANTHER line drawings, and you can see the exhaust well basically done in that go. There you go. It's not doing too bad a job actually. I've got a bit of a specification over here. There you go. It's got a speed of 28.5 miles per hour, a maximum on the road, and a crossability speed of 15 miles an hour. So 15 miles an hour doesn't sound much, but it's not too bad for running over rough terrain. And if you've got track muddy roads, I think it'd be moving about 20 miles an hour anyway, even on that. Anyway, and there's a nice little drawing of one done that. We've even got a bit of a muzzle brake cover over the top there, but you can see what I mean. It's a nice little drawing. This is a line drawing, and you can see that the wheels are not camouflaged, and there's a bit of mud on there, but no camouflage. And I quite like that, because most of the ones I've seen in photographs seem to be uncamouflaged on the wheels, most. So there you go. Oh, there's a Bilge Panther as well, France 1944. There you go. And this has got ZIMMERIT, but it's a square type again with the old. It's just squares with a bit of wedging going through it. There you go. So thank you very much for watching. As you can see, I'll be starting this either this weekend or next week. I'm not sure which one it is, but I will be starting this one shortly, and I will be finishing it before I go back to my Compass Rose. So both my Storm Tiger and my JAGDPANTHER will be completed before I will move back onto the Compass Rose. Richard Switcher knows all about this, so there's not an issue there. He's quite happy with it. It's a case of we both agree that when you're building such a big model as a Compass Rose or any Corvette in 1/72 scale, with the amount of scratch building we've been doing, you seem to be doing a lot of work, and then when you look back, there's not a lot to show for it seems. So this is a nice relief for me to do a couple of little kits. And Richard's Switcher's already started his long-range desert group build, as you know. So he started that, and I think he's got the SACS Jeep coming. He may be doing that as well. It's the 136 Tamiya one, and I thought I had the Tamiya one, but when I found the box, I can show you now. This is the version I've got of that, which is the Dragon one. There you go, the Dragon one. So that's my version of it. So Rich Switcher, sorry about that, mate. I haven't got a Tamiya one. I have actually got the Dragon one. There you go. That's the same vehicle. So that's the end of it. I'm going to put the box back on so I can finish off with the box lid on. And just to show you, I didn't forget to do this. Well, I did forget. There's some pictures of the built-up kit already there. And you can see that whoever built this one, though, he actually left the little moulding rim around the wheels. But to be honest, it's just purely to give you an idea of what it was going to build up like. And it looks, when you look at the tracks, they actually look really nice, and it looks like he's got the drape really perfect. So I've got a feeling it could work on the kit. So I'm gonna sort of edge my bets later on and decide which way I'm going to go. I've definitely got a Panther late tracks, which will go on my late version of the Dragon. JAGDPANTHER, the later version, which does have a ZIMMERIT on, because they didn't have. And there you go. So a little bit on the sides, show you a bit more there if I can switch around and get the box out the right way. There you go, the rooftop, And I think you can see the ZIMMERIT quite nicely in the box there. And that's the pattern of it, and it's on this side. So, and on the other side, it's purely got what we saw earlier on. Nice colour drawings of the 6 versions you can do. Like I said, there's one that's plain. I'll be building one with the extra box on the back because it just gives it an extra something. Because when you get to the late version, it hasn't got that at all. Right, putting it back there. Well, thank you very much for watching, and I hope this tape wasn't too long. It was getting on for, well, quite a few minutes actually. 26 minutes, I think it's 26 or 27 minutes coming up to. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one, and happy modelling, and see you later on. Bye.